Everyone, welcome back to the show. My name's Dan Hafner. I have another guest with me today, Mark Wonderlin. I'm going to bring him in here in a second. We're going to talk about video. We're going to talk about the power of video. I was really interested to have him on and kind of hear his perspective. He runs like a really cool video production company, and he has done things for people in the tech space, in the software space. So we all know the power of TikTok and how the world is, video content really is king in this world. No matter whether you're in the business world or the content creation world or really anything, it's just there really has been this monumental shift towards that. So how do we leverage that as software owners, as tech companies, to really drive what we want? What we want: signups, we want sales, we want users, we want valuations, we want those types of things. So we're going to bring in Mark. We're going to talk about that. But before I get into that, please, two plugs today. Definitely please subscribe and like the show, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, whatever. That's really, really helpful. And leave a review if you find this show helpful. And then also a shameless plug for what I've talked about before, Trophy Makers. Trophy Makers is a new platform that I built in the taxidermy space. You can go to trophymakersclub.com and you can use it for free. If you're a hunter, fisherman, outdoorsman in that space, you're looking for a new taxidermist, somebody who does something a little bit different. Maybe you got a new fish you want or a new animal you want. It's completely free to use. So go to trophymakersclub.com. You can sign up for free. And that is my shameless plug for that platform. So without any further ado, welcome to the show, Mark. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mark is located in Austin, correct?
Yep.
And he is the owner of Mosaic Media Films. Is that it?
That's right.
That's it. All right, cool. So Mark, I mean, hit us right out of the gate. Like, why do we need to, why is video content king? Like, why do you think it's just taken over things over the past 10 years? Like, why is that?
I just think the reason why video is so powerful is because it just appeals to so much more of your senses. You can kind of passively watch a video and it really educate you visually and sometimes narratively, depending on the way that the video is structured. And then you could create all these other elements that can enhance the emotion or the feeling that you want the viewer to have. I think a lot of times now, people think of video and they think of TikTok and Instagram, just taking your phone and getting some selfie content and things like that. But what we specialize in is really working with businesses and brands, create that kind of viral approach to their content, or really creating content to help educate viewers, engage viewers, so that ultimately they convert. So whether it's a social media video, whether it's, a promo that talks about their product or service, or it's a powerful testimonial that kind of shares success stories, any one of those mediums can be really effective in increasing conversion, engaging with your audience, and really educating people on what you do and what makes you different.
So what makes a video viral? Like, do you have a recipe? Are there like certain things? I mean, I'm sure you hear the common thing about like websites or even like applications or whatever. It's usually people get so involved in making sure that like the landing page is formatted just like this and just like that. Yeah. And then they have like the crappy old version and it outperforms it by like 10 times. Do you see the same thing with videos? Do you have to be meticulous and pay attention to every little detail for something to go viral? Or do you see more just kind of like random things thrown together that tend to be more viral? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of it's tough to tell. You have to really test in order to see what angle and what approach is going to be most effective for your audience. And it also depends on where you're marketing and the type of audience you have, right? So if you're a B2B, it's going to be a little bit different than your approach if you're a B2C company and you're selling products, right? So a lot of it is dictated on that. It also depends on the type of platform that you're marketing on. So if someone is doing a Google search, they have a problem, they've recognized it, and they're actively doing some research and trying to find a solution, they're going to have a lot more buyer intent. So like they're going to be more engaged to watch kind of a longer form video that tells them about what they do, what makes them different. Whereas like if you're on social media, it's very short form focused stuff. So it's like you're interrupting someone as they're scrolling through their feed. whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. They're all kind of going there for some to find out about family, to watch some things that are interesting and so on. They're not really wanting to get bombarded with ads. So when you're marketing on social, it's very different approach. And in that instance, native ads, which is considered more like the selfie style videos, often outperform the flashy videos that we would create for your brand talking about the product or service. So what's most important is that you really understand like who's the audience, like where are they at, what's going to connect with them, and then also understanding like what's the platform that we're on and what's going to be the most effective. I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is testing different variables when it comes to ads or video content, especially at the top of your funnel. I mean, we've done tests with native ads for social, with kind of flashy, highly produced video content, images, just text, all that different stuff. So really just trying to see what angles, words, language, visuals connect with your audience to get that initial conversion into your funnel.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like you have super short form videos like on TikTok that are completely different from YouTube long form content, like or something like this, like a podcast, so that's interesting. Okay, so how this is interesting. So like if we have software platforms, if we have an app or we have some kind of technology product that we want to utilize the power of video to actually promote and get out there and get signups, make something go viral. Like how do you get people to understand what it is that it actually does? I'm sure it's different from like a service-based business. Like, hey, I'm a landscaper and I do this and I help your home look better. Like that's a little, that's different than, hey, here's this product, here's what it actually does and how it helps you. So my question is like, if you had in terms of a technology product, how can you leverage video? Is there a certain process to go through to say like, clearly this is what this does and how it helps you? I'm curious on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give you a perfect example. We work with this company called Connected Athletics, and they basically developed an app to help connect both recruiters and youth athletes on a platform that allows them full transparency about the player, who they are as a person, but also their athletic stats, and allows them to have a one-to-one connection with actual college recruiters. So they have a really cool, kind of app. And we help them develop both an investor pitch video, which is more or less became their promo, and then also a series of social media videos. So the way that it works is on the top of the funnel, social media. One of the first things and objectives that they have is we need to increase our user base, right? So we need to get athletes to sign on to this and not spend time on Instagram and all these other sites. This is solely focused to you, your athletic performance, who you are as a person, direct connection with the recruiter. So we need you on this platform. So the app there and the angle is really what we call on social media is more of a micro story, right? So what is the problem, solution, and result, right? So the problem is, their message is very muddy. They're kind of lost in all the fog. Here, the solution is that it gives you one-on-one connection with actual recruiters who are interested in you as a person, to represent their school, but also, most importantly, your athletic ability and how you fit into their organization. So that is the solution. The result is you're going to be able to get more eyeballs on you, targeted eyeballs on you, because you're on this platform instead of the sea of Instagram. So that's kind of what I would call a micro story. And we need to tell that in a very concise way on social media, again, because it's an interrupt, right? So when they're marketing that, they're going to market that video or series of videos. Again, like I said earlier, images, text, video, what's going to connect with the audience, what message is going to connect with the audience. And then they target that to specific age demographics, specific interests, and so on. So they're getting it in front of the right eyeballs. Then on the sign up page, so they would basically, click on the ad, go to the page. That's where they'd have that longer form video. And that longer form video, usually around 2 minutes, sometimes as long as 3, depending on the product. But that video for Connect Athletics, longer form, explains like, more detail of what the problem is, just kind of expanding that story, right? So what is the problem? How does this thing actually work? How is it going to benefit you? What are some objections that other athletes have had? And how has this app been a great tool for them? So it kind of expands on that initial kind of short form video. And that's really a, successful way, just in a very simple funnel, to kind of connect with your audience on a short form kind of micro story, and then, send them to a landing page that has a longer form story, giving them more information so that they, can download and take that next conversion step that you want.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. There's got to be a lot of strategic thought and planning to think about that sequence and that kind of stuff. But my next question that kind of leads me into this wonderful world of AI. Have you guys been able to leverage that? Do you see more people trying to leverage that on their own to do these things? Is it increasing the quality of video content that's out there? There's kind of multiple questions bundled in that one, but I'm just, what have you seen recently since this explosion of ChatGPT and similar things?
Yeah, I think right now, with AI's form where we are today, and it's obviously infinitely changing, so this comment is not going to have a long shelf life. It's really more of a support system than it is to a replacement, right? So a lot of the work that we do, it's physically in person with people, right? So it's their unique app, having it in someone's hands, real humans, real athletes, showing their experience, authentically talking about it and interviewing them in a documentary style fashion. So like, there's not really a good AI tool for that, but like from a scripting standpoint, it can help generate headlines or ideas for like additional questions we can ask, or creative criteria, that might kind of sort of help from a chat GPT standpoint. And then the post side, a lot of the stuff that I've seen from AI is good for like very structured stuff. So like, here's a 1 hour podcast with a 3 camera setup. Go ahead and cut that based on who's working on it, and then give me 5 examples of short form ones. Like, AI is pretty good with that. I think Opus is one of the top ones that I've heard of. But like the type of stuff we do, it's a very decision-making process creatively through multiple people at their specific areas. So my producer, cinematography team, editing team, all are kind of combining their own skill sets to create something that's really compelling, in collaboration with the client, so we understand the product. So to go back to the Connected Athletics one, so like the really high intense, fast paced approach that we need to take on social media is to grab viewers' attention. So like quick shots, cool animation, graphics, shots, really cool sunsets, like boom, 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 boom. Eventually, could we maybe do some of that, or at least part of those shots in AI in the future? I definitely think so. I definitely think that'll be a possibility. I think AI is going to open up the opportunity to get shots that are so difficult to get and are very, very specific. We can't even get stock footage for that. You could prompt a few things and it'll get something, pretty darn good. That would be either really difficult to film, really difficult to generate in 3D, or just is so specific you can't find any good stock video for it. And I think that's where AI is going to help, is for a supplement for the type of work that we do.
Yeah, I mean, at the time of recording this, they have not released the I think, what is it called, Sora with ChatGPT. I'm very interested to see when that comes out, because I think like you said, it's going to be a supplement for a lot of those things. So it's very, very interesting to think about. Okay, so there's a lot of options, kind of like in the software world. You can do a million different things with video, right? So let's take trophy makers, for example, right? If I have a software product, what would you recommend if I needed? Is there like a handful of videos that I should have, like a group of like a core instead of going down the rabbit hole of saying I'm going to create like 100 videos for this thing,
Yeah.
if I could have like 3 to 5, maybe, I don't even know, like core videos that I would lean on for my promotion and my marketing, what kind would you say those would be? Just like, I know that's kind of broad too, but like, should I have,
Yep.
short term one that just is like how to sign up, or like you said, like a long form one that kind of shows the details? Like, what would you say would be that core group that I would need?
Yeah, well, a lot of it depends on how you're doing your marketing, right? So, like, how are people discovering you? What's that top of the funnel traffic source?
Okay.
And then what does the buyer's journey actually look like? And that's gonna dictate the type of content that is going to be best suited for you, if video even makes sense at various parts of the stage. Um, I'd say, without going into great detail about all those specifics, by and large, the top three videos that we found to be the most effective for most businesses is kind of a social media video. And this is usually top of the funnel ads. And this is effective if you're running ads on social. And this is a short form, 20, 40-second video designed to grab the viewer's attention and kind of get them to convert to the landing page.
Okay.
The other video that is effective once they've clicked is kind of what we call a promo video. So that video is kind of the who we are, what we do, what makes us uniquely different. Usually about 2 minutes in length. It's typically like a documentary style format, but it's designed to kind of engage the viewer. So they've kind of clicked on the ad and now they're engaged. So it's just like, how can you educate them on like how it works, how it's going to make their life better, what makes you uniquely different. And ultimately, you're kind of not telling a story about you as much as you're telling a story about the customer, right? So like with the software as a service example, it's like people don't really want another piece of software. They want to, typically it's save time, be more productive, save money, whatever that information is, get more data so they can make better buying decisions. Whatever that really tangible thing that they're actually getting, it's not another $100 on software, it's really, what is their life going to look like when they have this? And that's the way you position that type of video that's longer form. The third type of video that could really be used anywhere in the funnel, it could be used on the top as an ad. It could be used in the middle as they're converting, or it could be used in the bottom as more as like a sales tool. And that's a testimonial. So we do both kind of live action testimonials where we go out for like a full day and we'll like film a customer and we'll tell their unique story and we'll get all these lifestyle shots. And depending on the type of clientele will dictate if something that elaborate even makes sense, right? So typically the lower your product cost, the least that makes sense. So you're selling a consumable item for $15. You probably don't need to go to that lengths to get a good testimonial. You could do something with your phone. So we'll do anything from that to like, we'll do something where we do remote testimonials, typically with a lot of B2B companies. And for SaaS companies, it makes a lot of sense because you need that social proof, right? But you have customers that are all over the place, and to hire a crew in, 10 plus states is very expensive. So we basically interview people in a Zoom style format, polish it so it looks like it's very branded. It tells a compelling story. So the interview is like 20, 30 minutes, but it's consolidated to like a minute and a half. So like in the buyer's journey, the person sees that video, it's concisely explaining the problem that they had, how they were able to use the software, and what their life looks like now, and we also kind of integrate like, what was an objection? Like, the last thing I wanted to do was spend another $100 on another piece of software. But in the first 30 days, we definitely got like 3 sales from it. And it's like 12x our expense for like something as minimal as $100. So we're going to continue to use it because it's a great ROAS to give us ... and ... and ... So like, that's the way that we kind of can incorporate it. So social media video, promo, and testimonial, all really great videos to utilize throughout your funnel, just generally without going into the nitty gritty of, your specific marketing tactics.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. That's very,
Yeah.
very clear. I love the way you laid that out. That was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, you mentioned something. I just always been curious about this. Um, so you mentioned, hey, like hiring a crew in 10 different states, I can imagine that would be very expensive.
Mhm.
Do you guys like when somebody hires you for something, like I'm in Pennsylvania and you're in Texas.
Yeah.
If I heard, would you come here and actually shoot content for me? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we have certain clients that we've done that for. So like we've gone to California, we've gone to Tennessee, Vegas, we've been pretty much all over. Um, some companies will like hire out local people, like we've been hired by other agencies because they're like, listen, we're not going to spend 10 grand shipping our crew there. Can you guys just do it? And we just film and then give them the footage. And then we
Mhm.
can do that with other companies as well. We don't really do that a ton. We pretty much just fly out to the location. And that's why we've developed the remote testimonials because it's fundamentally the most powerful video, if not one of the most, if not the most powerful video you can get, because it's got a huge shelf life. It's excellent for social proof, and it's really good no matter where you're at in the sales cycle for the customer's journey. And doing it remotely, it's a lot less impact on the client because they don't have to spend a half day driving out to a location, being filmed, and so on. It's just basically like a half hour to an hour Zoom style meeting. And that's the only time they have to invest in it. And it's also a lot easier for our clients that we work with because they just pretty much give us a list and we contact them. We do the interview, we create the editing, and then they get like, a video package for each interview we do. So you're able to leverage that 30-minute interview with like a story video and then 2 social cuts. So you have like a suite of videos that you can leverage at different parts of the funnel or different use cases where you're trying to overcome objections during the sales process.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's very interesting because I was wondering, I was like, man, like that'd be a lot to have like a 3-person crew come out here and
Yeah.
do all that. But that makes sense that you guys can um that you can outsource that kind of stuff
Mhm.
between different agencies and things like that. That's
Mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah.
A little
And a lot of it depends on the type of company. So like I think, a really good example is like I think like a real estate industry, right? So like you have an agent who technically is an independent contractor, and then you have like a broker who like, hires a whole bunch of agents, and then you have the builder, who has like we have 300 homes in this one subdivision, right? So like for a builder that has 300 homes, they're like, yeah, we want some incredible testimonials. We want you to go out to this place because we're selling 300 homes. So financially, it makes more sense for them because of the overall value, right? Whereas, like on the bottom end of that, we're a real estate agent, they're just one independent person, selling, a dozen, 2 dozen homes a year. So, like for them, it doesn't really make a huge amount of sense to invest the time, money, energy, and effort into like a huge, massive production. And it's just like, for that case, you're better off just kind of doing it yourself or taking your phone and interviewing one of your one of your customers per se, that you've worked with. So it depends on where your business is at as far as what makes sense for the level of production. I think the most important thing is that to start to integrate video into your marketing, whether you're doing it yourself, you're hiring a freelancer, or you work with like a company like us, that pretty much is like a full production and creative team to help the business and the brand really position themselves as thought leaders and a higher echelon in their specific niche.
yeah. And I mean, wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
um and I think like I think it too, can you really make yourself look bigger when you
Mhm.
kind of have these, like you said, it's a positioning game.
Mhm.
So if even if you if even if you have to do something yourself, or you hire a freelancer or a company like yours that and you invest a
Mhm.
little bit of money into it, that
Yep.
really make, especially like a SaaS company or an app, like
Mhm.
can that make it look like it's bigger than it might actually be? Like maybe you're just in the startup phase, you have zero paying customers,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
you can make this, it's not like it's smoke and mirrors, but it's a positioning way of saying like, hey, this is like this is the number one thing out there right now, bar none. Like that's doable, right?
Absolutely. It can tremendously transform the company from a positioning standpoint because of the perceived value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, take video out of the equation and just think about being a consumer for a second. And you're Googling something and you're maybe looking for a software product to help, with your organization or productivity or whatever. And you go to a website and the website looks kind of janky, right? So it looks like it's something in the 90s, really crappy. It was slapped together. You could see it was kind of bootstrapped. And then you go to like an Asana or a ClickUp, and it's just like really well done. The fonts are good. It's really well polished. There's a higher perceived value because of the overall look and feel of the website in relation to the quality of the service. So you can take that and extrapolate it to almost any experience. And I think the most obvious one are like contractors. So like if you've ever looked for like a roofing company or a plumbing company or any type of home service and you just do a search, the vast majority of them have horrible, horrible websites. And it has this perceived value, whereas when you come to a good looking website, it kind of gives you that higher perceived value. These guys know what they're doing. They have a process, they have a system, and so on. So when you add that video on top of that good experience, and I'd say by and large, most SaaS companies have a pretty good, at least Web 2.0 type of, experience. So when you add that layer of video, it creates a point of differentiation because most people don't have it, but then it also distills all that information that you're trying to convey on that landing page. Like what is it about? How does it work? How is it going to make my life better? What have other people said about it? So that's really, really powerful. And then to go back to the whole testimonial thing, this is why that's so powerful for SaaS companies, because if you're starting at ground zero and you don't have a ton of users that are like paying customers, you probably have a lot of beta users. And those beta users can be testimonials that you can create to help with the social proof. Because when something's new, people will buy based on their network, right? So if my friends and family have not used this product, who else am I going to go to? Other people that have used the product, one layer deep. So like getting that, those testimonials are really, really powerful. And the way that we frame them and recommend is like trying to create a level of authenticity with what was an objection. Why did you not want to use this software? What was restricting you from getting this product or this service? Was it cost? Was it time? Was it learning a new system? Whatever the case may be. And then how did you get past that? And what does life look like now? So having that component in there is really, really powerful. So just the fact of like having video creates a higher perceived value and helps further educate people and distill that information down on your website. That can be a huge differentiator for you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I've seen this time and time again with the amount of platforms that I've built, and not only for myself, but for other people. And I do. There's no getting around the fact that you can like the build it and they will come fallacy is just completely that it's a fallacy, right? And you really have to find ways to market and position and put that thing out there, because you can build the greatest thing ever, and if nobody knows about it, and it's not, or you just kind of do like a crappy little like iPhone video of like, hey, look how cool this is. It's not going to be adopted. It's not going to be perceived as that. And perception is everything, so that's super, super helpful, especially like if you're in this stage where you're trying to market something, you're trying to get that out there, like that, investing in that type of thing and inside of your video content, inside of your perception. I really don't see a downside to that at all, to be honest with you. So if we want to learn some more, we can go somewhere on your site. You have some resources and such for learning more about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple different things depending on where you're at, in your discovery about video. So if you're just starting out and you don't know where to kind of get going, the best place is mosaicmediafilms.com/resources. And there's great, like, guides, there's awesome video library of content. And then there's quizzes to help give you a better idea of the types of videos you should be thinking about for your particular business. And then, of course, on the site, if you want to set up a one-on-one strategy session with myself or someone from my team, you can just go to the contact us and schedule something like that. If you're kind of further down the line, you're really thinking about it, you need some one-on-one attention.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds super helpful. So that's Mosaic, MOSAIC mediafilms.com/resources. Again, as always, we'll have the link in the show notes for you guys either watching or listening. Awesome, man. Well, this was really, really insightful, really kind of enlightening and motivating, to be honest. I think it's kind of like this reminder. We all kind of know when it comes to marketing, when it comes to promoting, that we need to do these types of things. But it's really refreshing to talk to someone like you that's like, yes, like this is what can be actually possible if you just kind of simplify and just go and just promote stuff and just publish. So that's awesome. And anything else to add before we step off?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I guess the one thing I would add to our, last dialogue that we're talking about is, understand that, like, with video, it's kind of, I always say, like, you could have a great video, but if you don't have the traffic, you're going to think the video stinks, So, like, it's a two-part component. So, like, just to kind of build on what you were saying, it's like having a good video is really, really powerful because you could have it for a long duration of time without having to change it, but you really need that traffic source. So if you're just starting off, make sure you balance, your finances properly so you can get the right eyeballs on your site, your offer, your video content, whatever the case may be, so that you could increase that conversion as that overall metric.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, I made the coolest video ever. And you think it stinks because nobody sees it. Yet again, of the build it and they will come.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. All right, Mark. Well, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. This was very, very helpful, very insightful. So yeah, guys, check it out. mosaicmediafilms.com/resources. I have the link in the show notes for you. And I hope you guys got some value out of this. I definitely did. So that's it. Thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate you coming on. And that's it, guys. So be sure to subscribe and like if you have not already to the show. Bring you more content like this, and the more people that we have here, the more the better people I can have on here like Mark that give you guys some awesome content and educational stuff. So appreciate all of you for joining. Thank you very much, Mark, again, and we will talk to you guys later.
Thanks.